Now the last thing I want to talk about is something that I think is very neat, something that does not exist inside of Office 2007 or Office 2003 for that matter, and that's the ability to go to Slideshow and select Broadcast Slideshow. Now why is it important to talk about Broadcast Slideshow? You've probably watched a number of trainings that have happened over live meeting or through some other type of web service. Now there's typically a monthly charge in order to use a system like Live Meeting or GoToMeeting or anything like that. What you're able to do with PowerPoint 2010 is broadcast this slideshow directly from your desktop to anyone who wants to view that slideshow. So imagine setting up a conference call and sending out a link to all of your customers or users saying, hey, join my slideshow. So I'm going to select Broadcast Slideshow, and when I do, I'm going to go ahead and select Start Broadcast. Now, when I start the broadcast, it's going to utilize my Windows Live ID. So in this case right here, let's go ahead and log in one more time. There's TS2 Demo, and we'll go ahead and log on. And what it's doing right now is it's connecting to the PowerPoint broadcast service. It's going to go ahead and prepare this broadcast, and it'll make it available so that people who click on the link that shows up will be able to view that broadcast within a web browser. They don't even need to have a copy of PowerPoint installed on their PCs. So there it is. There's the PowerPoint broadcast. So if I go ahead and highlight this link here, copy, I'm going to go ahead and open up a new browser and paste this link into the browser and hit enter. This is the experience that your customers, users, or end users are going to be able to see. So you can see here that we've got waiting for broadcast to begin. I'm going to go ahead and snap this over to the side, and let's go ahead and start the slideshow. There's the TS2 demo slideshow. Let me go ahead and show you that web browser right there. Right? So I know that when we go to the next slide of our slideshow, hit down, there's that animation. Remember that demo cycle? Notice right here that as that animation is occurring, you're going to see it on both sides. I'll try to do this pretty quickly. So let me go to launch this right here, and you'll notice that the animation actually happens in the web browser as well. Alright, so hopefully you've got a good sense of what PowerPoint 2010 can do. Let's go ahead and talk about our next product. So when you talk to your customers about Office 2010, they'll usually talk about using Office Professional, for example. But what we really want to talk to our customers about is telling them about the volume licensing versions of Office. So Office 2010 Professional Plus includes, for example, InfoPath. It includes Communicator, and it includes Sharepoint Workspace. Sharepoint Workspace is an application that not a lot of your customers have probably heard about. They may have heard about Groove, and they're saying, what happened to it? Well, Groove has become SharePoint Workspace. But we built in some new functionality, and it's something that I think a lot of your customers are going to be able to benefit from. So let's go ahead and take a look at what SharePoint Workspace is going to be able to do for them. So what I've done here is I've actually brought up the launch bar for SharePoint Workspace. Maybe in the beginning I should have showed you how to set this up, but it's pretty simple and something that you can show directly to your customers. But what I've got here is TS2 Office Demo, and we're going to work with that in just a little bit. But I wanted to show you that if I select New, I can select a SharePoint Workspace. I can maybe even select a Groove Workspace. Now what does this mean? If I have a SharePoint 2010 site that I already have up and running, this is a great demo because I can sync one of my SharePoint Workspace folders or document libraries directly with the SharePoint Workspace that I've got on my PC. And so what we want to explain to our customers is that when a document that's placed on a SharePoint site changes or is updated, it'll automatically be updated on everyone's PC that's connected to it with their SharePoint Workspace application. But what we also want to talk about is our Groove Workspaces. Think about this today. Let's say I'm working in a team of about 10 people, and I have created a document that I want all 10 of those people to have. So I create the document, and I decide how I want to send it to the rest of them. Typically what you're seeing a lot of is people attaching that document to an email and sending it off to the rest of their team members. The problem is that if one of those team members says, hey JJ, you know what, you made a mistake on this document, and they make a change and send it back out to all 10 people, now we've wasted some bandwidth and we've also updated everyone with multiple copies of that same document. If 2 or 3 other people find mistakes, you can see that all of a sudden you've got 5 or 6 copies of that same document. So we want to make that experience even better, and that's what a Groove workspace can actually do for you. If everyone is part of a Groove workspace, so you set up kind of like a peer-to-peer environment, what they're going to do is they're going to go ahead and drop documents into that workspace, and if any changes happen to those documents, everyone that's part of that workspace will receive updated copies without even having to lift a finger. So let's go ahead and kind of show you what this is all about. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this TS2 Office Demo folder. And it kind of has folders that you might see in a small business, like budgets, customers, invoices, sales advisors. And what I'm going to show you is not the real thing that's happening right now, because I don't have multiple PCs to demo this with, but this is still going to be compelling because it's going to give you an idea of what the experience is actually like. In the customers folder, you'll see that I do have an Excel document. It's called Sales Analysis. It was modified by me, and it was modified at a certain time. So you can see that it was at the end of July. Now let's say one of my teammates makes a modification to this document, and we are part of the same Groove workspace. What would happen, and this is again just for demo purposes, is you'll see something pop up here in the right hand side. So if I right click on this and I go ahead and mark it on red, you'll see that here in the bottom right hand corner it says Documents in the TS2 Office Demo folder has unread data. So imagine if any changes happen, I will be notified. And you know what, even if I decide not to act on that right away, I will have a little green indicator that'll tell me that yes, that file has been changed. So I can see who's been making modifications. And what's also great about that is I can find out exactly who modified it and the date that they modified it at. So that's SharePoint Workspace in a nutshell. Hope you like it. You can see there's different members in the workspace right here, and all we have to do in order to add in new people to the workspace is simply click the Workspace tab, invite members, and we can do it via Outlook. We can also copy invitations to a clipboard. They've just got to click on a link and they'll be part of the workspace. So the last product I typically show is Outlook 2010. Outlook is where the majority of your customers spend most of their day. And we want to make sure that we show some value between Outlook 2003 and Outlook 2007 and into Outlook 2010. So what I typically do is go ahead and launch Outlook. And you'll see here that I have a typical inbox. A lot of emails right here about Tailspin Toys proposal. And as I scroll up here, I see a lot about dinner this week. A lot about Just for Fun. Contoso Hotels opportunity. And this can get pretty overbearing when you're looking through all this saying, hey, you know, what is the most up-to-date email? How should I even follow this thread? So what I'll normally do is I'll start off by going to the View tab here and showing this as conversations. When I select that, I'll select all folders. You can see here that now I've consolidated my inbox. It's not as large as it used to be. And we can take a look at Tailspin Toys proposal, for example, and highlight that. And notice here that I do still have all those emails underneath what I just showed you. And what's great about this is that it consolidates a view, it's easier to look at, and it's going to make your life a little bit easier. Now let's say, for example, we take a look at dinner this week, and as we look through that series of conversations, we notice that none of these things really apply to us because we're actually going to be on vacation. So if I select this particular conversation, and I go over to the Home tab, I can say, you know what? I don't want to look at this anymore. I don't want to deal with these conversations anymore. I can ignore them. When I select Ignore Conversation, it will no longer appear in my inbox. If any other emails having to do with dinner this week appear, they won't appear for me. Now, if I need to, I can restore them and I can make sure that those emails are back. They're not gone for good. But they are things that are now not going to have to clutter up my inbox. At this point, what I'll normally do is I'll also go ahead and show them what it means to get meeting requests. You know, I know that as a person who works a lot, goes on the road, tries to book my travel, tries to book meetings, it can get kind of complicated the way my calendar looks. And so what you can see here is that I have received a calendar request from Rachel Russell. What people normally do is they'll open up that calendar request, they'll go to their calendar, see if that calendar item will fit, and then they say okay or not okay. I want to show you what we can do here with Rachel Russell. If I double click on Launch Planning, take a look at this. I get an instant preview of my calendar. I can tell right away that Rachel Russell's launch planning session that she wants to make with me is going to conflict with my offsite at Fabricam. So I know right away that I can decline this request. If I didn't have this type of quick preview, what I would normally do is I would say, okay, Rachel's meeting is requested at July 23rd from 3 to 4 p.m. I'll open up my calendar. Let's go ahead and go back all the way to July 23rd. Oh man, that's all the way back in 2009, so we're looking back to the future, right? So it looks like that's going to take me some time, whereas that quick preview gave me the answer right away. Let's go back to our mail folder and show you a little bit more about what we're doing with Office 2010. We have a social connector that gives you more insight into your customers and into the rest of your contacts. So if you take a look here at Rachel Drospin's conversation, on the bottom right hand side you do see that there are some little pictures. I have pictures for each of my contacts. Now obviously if you don't have an actual picture of the contact, you're going to get these little faces like I'm showing right here. But Nina Vietzen actually has a picture in my contacts, so that's why she's showing up. Now if I go ahead and select Nina Vietzen, you can see here that I now see all the emails that I've received from Nina. I can see all the attachments that Nina has sent me, all the meetings that she sent me as well. And we're going to allow you to hook into Facebook, for example, and LinkedIn to get some of their updates as well. Also, I want to point out that from 2007 and 2003, obviously, we now have a ribbon in 2010 that wasn't there before. It is going to take some getting used to, but I think a lot of customers, once they realize how to use this ribbon, are going to be more productive than ever before. But I did want to also let you know that there are some tools that can help us if customers are having trouble adapting to the ribbon because they're coming in from Office 2003. We'll talk about that at the end of the presentation, but for right now, let's go ahead and talk about that optional section that I discussed earlier when I set it up, Google Docs.